So twice a year, I get to interview a terrific volunteer, one of my favorite people. This is Cindy Thomas. And Cindy, I appreciate you spending the time today doing this. You are kind of a great volunteer in the community, not just here at the food bank. And I know you help out at places like Aeolian and other things, which is great. But you and I talk twice a year about what kind of is going on at the food bank, how the volunteers might be perceiving things. Mm-hmm. And I did have some questions for you because I think that it's been quite a year, right? Like it's the 40th year anniversary.
Yeah.
So that will be in October, and we're going to have a big public celebration about that. But in advance of all of that, I've been interviewing tons of people who've been part of the food bank story for 40 years. But it's allowed a number of the volunteers, as they watch this happening, wondering, how did that get started? Mm-hmm. How, why are you talking to that person or whatever it is? Have you found that there's a curiosity about that amongst the volunteers?
Yeah, I think people like to see what's going on and like to know, so these videos are kind of informative and different angles on different things that people don't see. Yeah. As far as, different people, I guess I'm here a lot.
Yeah. Yes, you are.
So maybe that's it. Yeah.
Well, I've done a lot of the filming down here, right? Done some of it in other locations, but try to get as much done here as I can. And so I wanted to film in the warehouse.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was lots of stuff going on. Yeah. So others are very good at trying to keep quiet, but still they were going ahead, sorting hampers, putting things away. But I love that as the backdrop of the food bank, because what people are seeing is it might be Jane or Glen talking to somebody, but behind them are all of these people that are coming and sorting and doing it. And they're not staff. They're just volunteers, people like yourself. I think another thing that happened this year that to me, it kind of came out of the blue, but in speaking at different events and things like that this year, I think the amount of volunteers that the food bank has became the story this year, right? I think lots of people talked to us about it. I had national organizations who phoned and wanted to talk about it because in the nonprofit network, they're losing volunteers. They're having trouble making it happen. And I can see why that is, because for many of them, they get core funding from government for programs that they do. And then all of a sudden they start to lose that core funding as governments have cut back. So now you don't have the supervisors to oversee the volunteers. And a lot of those volunteers, let's say it's a homeless situation or helping a homeless veteran who's maybe got an alcohol problem, right? Well, a food bank volunteer is not qualified to do all of that stuff. So I can see why people come to the food bank then, because like a 5-year-old can put together a hamper. It's not rocket science. But I have noticed in this year of so many volunteers. I think in my interviewing of them for Volunteer Corner, including people like you, you can correct me on this, but I would say after 100 or so interviews, I would think that the number one characteristic I sense from our volunteers is joy. It's happiness, and I didn't come expecting that. You think you're going to see people on a mission, they're here to try to help. But they have so much fun together. And they separate the teams. Can you go through that a bit?
Yeah. So it is a great place to volunteer.
Yeah.
A lot of like-minded people coming in, and I think it's a sense of community. It's community helping community.
Yeah.
So community of volunteers, community of people we're helping. Yeah. It's all community. So there's lots of connection, and with that comes joy. Yeah. But it's a lot of fun too. Like there's a lot of conversation. There's a lot of things that go on during the day that, we laugh about, different jokes and different things that we talk about. But there is a lot of joy. I think too, people are here like-minded and they want to help.
Yeah.
This is something like there's so much stuff in the news that there's a lot that you can't do much about.
No. And it's some of it's pretty negative.
Yeah, it is very negative. Yeah. And so, but coming here and then everyone, you can help. You can feel the difference that you're making. You know that, and there's a lot of people, especially people here, a lot of people are retired, don't have another outlet. So this is a great organization to come meet other people that feel like they're doing the same thing, but we're helping community too. Yeah. So it's a very tangible thing that we're doing, and we can see the results like in real time.
Yeah. And a lot of it in the interviews and stuff that I've done has been that I know people that have been in those interviews that are stark conservatives, right? I've known others that are Muslim, or somebody else that's a Hindu, or somebody else that's a liberal, or an NDP, or whatever, right? These are people with convictions, but when they come here, they don't put that on the table, right? Now, I have heard if there's one thing politically that does get discussed here, it's Donald Trump, right? But it seems that that's universal.
It's difficult not to.
That's right. But around all the rest of it, they don't allow those things to separate them. They don't put that on the table because I think they know that could damage the repartee that is here and how people feel. And I think there wasn't a policy telling them not to do that.
No.
They just do it.
Yeah.
They just instinctively know.
Yeah.
And I think that allows you then to stay together as a group, not being divided into different areas. But I must admit that joy that I see, I know where a lot of it comes from. And a lot of it comes from you. You're one of those volunteers that has this effervescence. I know it comes from people like Emma, who's our volunteer coordinator, and others, and she's great. And I know there's people like Marianne, there's people like Josh. And then in pops Jane, who creates chaos wherever she's at, right? And but you folks, you further the kind of laissez-faire attitude of it, right? Like you're not saying, do this, you've got to be this way or whatever.
No.
Let people be who they are here. And as a result, they don't go too far with that. But they're very, very good with one another. But it's just, even when I came in today, people were laughing at the back by the door. Like I think people would be very surprised in London, the joy that comes from volunteering at the food bank. It's got nothing to do with me or Jane or whatever it is. It's just that people can come here and just be themselves.
Yeah.
And help out.
Yeah. And we all love it here. And everyone starts with doing kind of one shift in the lunch or whatever. And then you find people are doing 2 or 3 shifts. Yeah. And it's a great place to volunteer. It's difficult to get into, and I understand that. But with the amount of volunteers that we need now, when I first started in 2019, it was kind of a skeleton crew. And now we've doubled all the positions we used to have and added a whole bunch more to make it, run really smoothly and quickly for people. So
I think that largely came from the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
We thought, everybody worried about what's going to happen about volunteers with the pandemic, but ours doubled in that time. And then I think also since then, there's lots of groups that have closed down or limit operations or whatever. It's not their fault because of cutbacks and funding or whatever.
Very difficult.
But their people are looking for places to be involved in, and it's how much they care about their community. I really love that. Even in the pandemic, when everybody was saying, "Well, what kind of mask am I supposed to wear?" Right? And should I touch this surface?
Yeah.
And even here, you would remember, but here. People were really disagreeing with one another, and we had to split teams into 2. Yeah. So, not because of the performance or another, but if one of them went down or something, somebody had to come in and take that over.
Those are my rules.
That's right. And it was difficult. And then I remember we walked by the health unit and said, look, whatever the health unit is saying we can do, that is what it is.
Yep.
That took away a lot of the divisions. People still didn't agree. But because we had not given our opinion of what we thought COVID was, but it came from the health unit, people accepted that. But I do think that is now the base. I would have to think, as I look at the food bank, what I've seen of it, it's the volunteers that are now really the base. Which leads me to this other question. In doing the 40th anniversary thing, I've been meeting a number of different folks and interviewing them. And they say, oh my God, like what's going to happen about you and Jane? Like you've been here for 40 years, you've been here from the beginning. Are you guys thinking of leaving? We've had people that have come up to us and said, look, we really want to help, but if you and Jane are great here, right? And so what I say to them, and what I said at City Hall just last week, is that Jane and I went away. We hadn't had holidays for a couple of years. Yeah. Right? So we finally went away, and we didn't get one phone call. Nothing bad happened. We came back. You guys have a good time? And that was it. And I've realized that if all you think of is staff, then who would replace Jane and Glen? They've been around for a while.
Nobody.
But the point is, I think, it's its own organism now. Well, it's really just moving it. If Jane and Glen are here, great. If they're not, that's fine too. But usually you need leadership to do a lot of the fundraising or leadership to do policy and stuff. we've been through all of that. The public is just generous. We don't have public fundraisers or like that.
Yeah.
But what we do have is a whole bunch of volunteers that if Jane and Glen were to drop dead tomorrow, they would just keep it going and keep furthering it on. I know we would miss Jane and Glen. I get that.
Yeah.
But that's the difference now between, say, 5 or 6 years ago. Is now the energy is being generated by the volunteers. Do you agree with that?
I agree with most of it. We would definitely miss you.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are the spaces.
You'll miss Jane.
Yeah. I miss you.
Yeah.
But this is an organization that runs with volunteers. There are so many volunteers. We've said that before. Right. You couldn't do it without the volunteers.
And they do have to take on supervision.
Yeah.
Too, right. Which is a big help.
There's different things that you just take it on, you take on the responsibility. It ends up being yours, or a few people take on that one thing, whatever that one thing is. And then, and then you move on. And, it has taken on a life of its own for sure. And everyone's very responsible. Yeah. Everyone comes in, does their job, covers for other people when you need to, because there's a lot of kind of overlap and covering that needs to happen with our roles as well. You guys are the faces for sure. Mm-hmm. And you're the face of the food bank. So
I do think, though, for me, citizenship has always been the thing that has turned me on the most my whole life. But I see it here. And it's, of course, it's not something that people take.
No.
It's not everybody looking over you the whole time, trying to make sure that you're doing things right.
No.
All that kind of stuff. People just come, they collaborate, they cooperate despite their differences. And it's given me real hope again, because when I look at politics, sometimes you can worry, right? Mm. But when I see the capability of Canadians to come to something like this and work together, I think it's great. Kind of leads me to my final question, though. And it's a tough one. I think, what's going to happen to Canada? I think, I realize people have their opinions of Mark Carney and so on and so forth, but there is this feeling that, where he is taking us is out into the world.
Yes.
He's not isolating us. Yeah. He's taking us into the world, but he's also doing big national projects, which were big things when I was a kid, the St. Lawrence Seaway, airports, universities, hospitals, rail lines, all that kind of stuff. I think there is this feeling that is happening, but then people watch the news. And, all of a sudden, because of a forest fire, an American president can park a 50% tariff on you, right? So it's kind of unknown. And also we're seeing the numbers increase of people coming to the food bank. Oh, yeah. So what do you think the mood of the volunteers is? And I know it's impossible to totally nail it down, but do they have a sense of worry as to what we're moving into, or where are they at?
So I think, just broadly, so when Donald Trump took presidency, we were all worried. Yeah. We all kind of saw where that was going. It's been a bit of a rocky road. I think, like him or don't like him, Mark Carney is taking us out, like you said, out into the world. I think we find that we're not just reliant on one country now for a lot of what we're doing. But there is, we see a lot more of what's going on. Canada is now out in the world more, but we see a lot more of what's going on in the world. We see how Canada can help with things that are going on in the world, how people can help us instead of just relying on one country. But I still think it comes back to what can we do here? And we've elected the people we are electing, and we hope that all works for us. But we do have to kind of look at what we can do with kind of here, boots on the ground and helping people. So I think people do look broadly, and I feel like we've got a little bit of optimism on where Canada's going. I think he's a very strong leader, and look at him and go, I think he's taking us in a great direction. We can't just sit and wait for things to happen to us, where he's making things happen. But I think that's how we are too. We're kind of making things happen here. Yeah. So we're going to keep doing what we're doing. And, I think that's kind of how.
My sense is his leadership style is, again, I'm not trying to say it's good or bad, but it is very comprehensive.
Yeah.
So he did a thing a couple of weeks ago where he went to the Toronto Food Terminal, right, which is a massive place. I've been there a number of times. And he said, I want to build 40 food hubs across the country. And we're going to put money towards it. There's $3 billion he's put towards a certain fund. About 20 million of that goes towards charities and other things to help people as we adapt. But what he's the thing that changed him is that I thought when the tariffs came up, he was going to say, okay, we need to start worrying about where our food's going to come from because of tariffs. Yeah. He hardly batted an eye at that. It's the Straits of Hormuz and Iran and other things. And all of a sudden, he's saying, you know, at any given time, a war could break out here.
Yeah.
Or a leader could get elected over here who suddenly doesn't want to work with you anymore. Yeah. We need to become a food sovereign nation.
Yeah.
So that we want to stay involved with the world trade and all that kind of stuff. But should something like that happen, and we remember a bit of that from the pandemic, and supply chains are disrupted or whatever it is, then we have to be able to supply our own.
Yeah.
That has has created meetings for me with a whole bunch of different politicians in Ottawa and here in other places. But they're really looking to London as a place where they would like to have a food hub. But they don't have an example. So the example for them is Farm in a Box, which is what the food bank is doing in Fanshawe.
Yeah.
5 different food containers that are going to grow 12 months a year, right? All that food will come here, just like out of our greenhouse. Yeah. Our greenhouse food comes in here. So it's not part of a world system.
Right.
It's not draining and causing all sorts of difficulties for climate change because it's not being transported all over the place. I think the point that I'm trying to make is just what you said, Cindy, that things are really happening here at the food bank and we sense it. And it's great. But I think when a prime minister comes along and says, I want people concentrating more on food and on growing their own food, of course that's going to affect the food bank. And we're right in the middle of all of that. It's a very exciting time. And I've got a bunch of meetings coming up around this kind of stuff. But we do know that Farm in a Box will start in September. And it'll be at Fanshawe.
Yeah.
It's all being built by the London District Construction Association. The Community Foundation is going to be helping and others. But it's this thing of, it wasn't one big company that came and decided to build a big warehouse here. It's all these collaborations among civil society ourselves that make it work. And I think we happen to have strengths there as an organization. We have weaknesses too, but we have strengths when it comes to civil society because so much of London is in this place.
Yeah. Right. And we live in a great area of the country, in Ontario country, where lots of food, right? Lots of availability. And it's great to see our things come from our greenhouse into the front and have people get them like in real time. They're taking it away with their food baskets. And so, it's great to see that happen too. So more availability.
Well, Cindy, I think that, the big lesson for me has been, thanks to doing all those interviews and stuff, is I think joy has maybe become the trade name for the food bank. I didn't expect it. It's just such hard work and people are really going through a hard time. But these people need one another and they come and form their teams and become friends. So it's not only good for us that they're here, but it's good for them. Yeah. In a time when the world feels so isolated and alienated that they've come here.
Right. It's meaningful work. Yeah. Right. That we're doing.
But let's say it was our number one trait was seriousness. Well, Glen would do really good in that kind of situation, but not Cindy. No, not Cindy. But the point is, because that is our main trademark, that is your way. Like you have such a gift, such an effervescent gift at being out there. And I think that that's a wonderful thing, Cindy, but you also are a leader. You're a supervisor and it's infectious. Like it is with Jane and Emma and the others. It gets out there to other people. So I just want to thank you for that. But I think what it means is that you're winning the day and people like me aren't, right? So the way I look at it, serious, we got to get to those things. No. You are making this a great place. Yes, it's a good place for people to be in. And I really thank you for that. And we'll talk again probably closer to Christmas to see what your feeling is about the volunteers. But on a scale of 1 to 10 then, because we always do the volunteer report card, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think the volunteers are at? Oh. Just their own feelings about that.
So I think everything, like you're saying, there's a lot of joy. There's a lot of hopefulness. There's a lot of looking at the future. I think everything here is very positive. Yeah. There's very little that isn't positive here. And I think that like the hands-on people helping people, community helping community, and with the respect and dignity that happens here, I think it's a great organization and people feel amazing being a part of it and seeing it work.
Couldn't be done without you, Cindy. Thank you. And I'll see you at Christmas. I'll see you every week as well. But I'll see you at Christmas. Thank you.
Thanks.